Is another fabulous day with another fabulous guest. And in the studio with me this afternoon, I have the one, the only Dr. Tatiana Hamawi. How are you?
Hi, Suzanne. Thank you so much for being on your lovely show.
I am so excited to have you. All right, cool. So I'm gonna thank the sponsors and then we'll come back and because the show is all about you. I'm so excited. Yes. So, as you know, if you tuned in earlier, we are kicking off Women's History Month, and I'm highlighting several phenomenal women throughout Worcester County who I think are doing phenomenal work, and I want you to see them and see their amazing work. That we kicking it off today, and we're going to end at the end of the month. I'm actually going to post tonight the list of all the phenomenal guests that I'm going to have, and today also for the first time, we're streaming directly to YouTube on Facebook. So you can do Positive Vibe Studio or you can do Positively Suzanne on Facebook. So make sure that you are tuned in, make sure that you are subscribed, because again, Women's History Month is going to be fire. And then we're going to end the month with the Women's Summit at the JMAC Arts Center, and it's called I Got You Sis. So it's really all about the sacred bond of sisterhood. Thank you to all my sponsors, my viewers, just everyone that tunes in weeks after week. Thank you to Paul Anderson, my wonderful producer, and just thank you to everyone who reach out, share their feedback, and send their suggestions for guests. I promise you that there was only 8 slots for this month. And we've spilled over into April, but you know how I feel. We will take over. But as I mentioned, I have with me in the studio today the fabulous Dr. Tatiana Hamawi from Alpha Omega Direct Primary Care. And I am just so excited to talk with her today about who she is and what it is that she does.
Thank you again.
All right, so welcome and thank you so much for saying yes to being a guest on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. I've been eager to do this.
Yes, well, you like bling, I like bling, so
So,
yes, I mean that is fabulous. Yes, it was a match made in heaven. So, you are a doctor and you practice direct primary care. So, what is direct primary care?
so direct primary care is where we take the insurance company out of the picture
Mm-hmm.
and it's just the doctor and the patient.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to worry about the requirements of the insurance, the rules of the insurance. I can just say what's best for the patient and get it done.
Mm.
No interference.
Okay, that's a novel concept.
Yeah. So what it does is it gives us freedom and it gives us time.
Mhm.
So many doctors just don't have time anymore
Mhm.
because they have to see so many patients and follow so many rules and do so much paperwork that they just have to see 30, 40 patients a day. That gives them what, 5 minutes with each patient, and somebody else is doing their blood pressure, someone else is taking their history, someone else is checking their medications. The doctor just comes in and does the exam and leaves. And there's really no time to get to know the patient and to bond with the patient, to really know what's going on, to get a sense of the emotions of that patient and understand and how to help them and to listen to what they have to say. They just don't have the time. And patients don't like that. They don't, they get to see their doctor so infrequently. And also with the models, they don't encourage the patient to go in because they have to end up paying for a copay or a deductible and they don't want to go. This model encourages them to stay in touch with me frequently. They come, they can stay in touch with me in between visits by texting me. It's really a fabulous model and it's so much better.
No, I mean there are so many benefits for one of the things that you said right there. It's like for me personally, I feel like whenever I call to speak to my physician, there's so many layers, and I talk to like 5, 6, 7 people before I even get to the nurse, and I have to explain my story every single time. Like by the time I get to that final person, I've dropped things out of the story because I'm just so sick of repeating it. And then by the time I do get to the doctor, he doesn't even know the full extent of what I'm going through because at that point I'm just done. I'm like, I just want this
If you
conversation
even
done.
get to the doctor, sometimes the message goes to the first person who answers it, who sends the message to the next person. The story changes like that game we used to play when we were children called telephone. By the time that it comes all the way back to you, the answer is not the question that you asked. And so, yeah, it's nice to have that contact with your doctor 24/7.
No, absolutely. So let's say for instance, someone's watching right now and they decide that sounds interesting. I want to find out more. Like, what do you suggest that they do?
Well, first they can go to my website, which explains what that is. It's at aomedical.com, and I have a handy little calendar there where they can book an appointment and talk to me directly about what does this mean? Does it work with my insurance plan? And, ask all kinds of questions.
Okay. And what's the cost for something like this?
So the meet and greet, no cost at all.
Oh, okay. What is it? So, but it does cost monthly. If you don't have an insurance, but is there a monthly cost to direct primary care?
There is. So instead of paying after the visit and not knowing what you're going to pay, getting a surprise bill later, and sometimes those bills come 6 months or 9 months later, and you weren't expecting it because of the timeline between billing and insurance. There's no surprise. You have a small monthly fee that's way cheaper than your cell phone bill. So it's like $100, $9 a month, and that's it. And then you don't pay any copays. Anything that I can provide in my office. I can give it to you. If it's something very expensive, like a vaccine, then I sell it to you at cost with no upcharge. The idea is to ultimately save money for the patient and give them the care and save them time. Because if they can come to me, or if I can handle it on a video, telephone, texting, or video, then they don't have to leave their office. On the insurance model, I can't take care of them through texting. And until COVID happened, we couldn't take care of them on telehealth. And so they would have to leave, take a whole day off or half a day, come to the office, and it waste their time. So I can save them time and money with this model. So even though it sounds like you have to pay a little bit more for this particular product, a lot of people tell me, how can I do that? I'm already paying my insurance company so much money. But you're paying for things that you're not really getting, and you're going to pay more for them. If I can do them for you, I can actually, instead of you spending your entire deductible, then you only spend a little bit of it on me, and you can save a lot of money. I have a graphic on my website that I explain that says how they can save money doing this. And so even though it feels like it's an extra cost, in the long run, it saves money.
Okay. Oh, that's wonderful. And you treat both adults and pediatrics.
I have training, board certified training in both pediatrics and general medicine, and I treat all ages.
I saw that you were dual certified. I love that. So did you always do direct primary care, or did you recently start doing it?
So that's new. I've been in practice for 20 years, and it's only in the last year that I've switched to this model because the other model of fee-for-service insurance is just getting unbearable and taking me away from your patients and not leaving the time to be with them and the resources to do things directly for them. So it's only 1 year now.
Yes.
Actually, we just passed our anniversary.
Congratulations. That's awesome. So, it's really good to hear that, from the doctor's perspective, because it's gotten so impersonal. And I mean, they're churning out patients, throughout the day. They really can't have that relationship. So to hear that you guys miss that, like that interaction with the patient, and that's why you chose to go into direct primary care. I mean, I think that sounds good.
Well, that's why we chose to go into medicine.
Yeah.
Because we want to be with the patient, we want to help the patient, interact with them. And that's why we chose, primary care in the first place, is to have that long relationship with the patient, as opposed to, a specialty where you just take care of something and then you don't see the patient again. This is a lifetime. I have patients now who they were my patients when they were children, and now they have children. Since I'm not that old.
You don't look a day over,
So I call myself a grand doctor because I have their kids, and it's so beautiful.
And I always like to see that, like, their progression, like, right, they were babies and now they're adult and they have their own babies. Not, you don't have to have them. They're like, it's so amazing. They come to visit. You're like, I knew your mom when she was your age. That is pretty cool. I'm so happy for you. That sounds like such rewarding work that you get the opportunity to just have that interaction. And I imagine it like feeds something inside of you.
It's definitely satisfactory. I mean, I work hard. I work so hard, but I am not stressed by it because I love what I do. And so it's all good.
It's all good. It's like that. So what they say, like, if you love what you do, never work a day in your life. I have issues with that, but I do believe that if you truly love what you do, it's not drudgery, right? It's like, oh my God, I got to go to work today. You work hard, because I'm pretty sure you don't have much free time, but it's rewarding work. So I think there's the difference.
Yeah, very little free time, but definitely rewarding, and I love it. I work for myself, so whatever I do benefits me and benefits my patients, and it's a win-win. I really, really enjoy it.
Well, yes, if my doctor is happy, I'm happy that they're happy. Absolutely. So, did you always want to be a doctor?
Did I? I don't know. I grew up. I don't know. I'm gonna date myself now. When we were watching Little House on the Prairie when I was little, there was a doctor there.
Yeah.
I think I bonded with that, and that took me through the decision to finally do medicine.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
It's okay, but if you weren't a doctor, do you see yourself doing anything else?
No, I love what I do.
Then that's it. That's what you were meant to do.
Yeah.
So you're a doctor. What do you do for self-care?
For my self-care.
Yeah.
So when and if I have free time, I love to dance.
Oh my, what kind of dancing?
Oh, I have training in ballroom dancing, salsa and Latin dancing, and my favorite West Coast swing dance.
Oh wow!
But the role of doctor and business owner and mom, that's kind of gone to the side.
Yeah.
It's gonna come back soon.
No, absolutely. And I think, because you said you've worked it for over 20 years doing a different version, and now you're in this version. So congrats on the 1 year anniversary. But I think when you're in that foundation stage, some of the things kind of fall off as much as you want to.
Right.
Because you're building, you're planting. So then, it's going to come back, and then you're going to be like, oh, I have way too much free time. I don't think so. Yeah, but it's good that you could go back to ballroom dancing and being a mom and gardening.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about that. Like some of the things. But how do you find time to garden though? Because I think that's a lot of work.
You have to do it in little pieces.
Okay.
So you get a little bit of time, and then you do a little bit, and you just fit it in somewhere.
Okay. What are some of the things that you plant?
So I have bunch of roses. They're knockout roses and they're beautiful, but unfortunately some little critter knocked them out. And so I have to work on fixing those this year. I do have a fig tree.
Okay, yeah. I
love figs.
Really?
This is normally something that grows in like Greece.
Yeah.
Water, right?
I don't think I've ever heard somebody say they have a fig tree.
Yeah. So this is a Chicago party fig.
Yeah.
And it's a baby. It's only this big right now, but it's gonna go big. And it's already produced a little bit of fruit.
And it produces.
Yes.
And you've eaten it.
Yes.
And you're alive. So
yes.
so clearly this is a thing. Like I just never heard somebody says like they have a fig tree, but you have roses and figs, and I think you mentioned strawberries.
And I have a strawberry bed.
And azaleas.
And azaleas.
Yeah.
And I have bunches of other little stuff.
Oh, so did you start gardening as a way to for self-care, or you just something that you like? Because I'm not good at it.
I have plants inside my house. I think at one point I had 100.
Yikes.
Now I have less, but I love them because they bring beauty to the house. They bring fresh air to the house, and I just it's my thing. So if I go away on vacation, my poor friends have to take care of my plants for me.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, I actually want to go back to something because, I'd ask you, did you always know that you want to be a doctor? So I know in this current shift, there's so many careers. What do you say to little girls who want to become a doctor and they're like thinking, well, is it the right path for me? Or how would you encourage them? Because that's your passion. There are little girls out there that want to be doctors.
Well, when I counsel young people about what they want to do for their careers, because this comes up in our conversations when they come for their physicals. I always ask them, are you a person who wants to work with people, or do you want to work with things? Because there are different types of people. And then if they want to work with people, then, the field of medicine and healthcare is beautiful for that. So it's a long career for a woman. And, in my life, I started having a family very late because of all the schooling. I didn't have my son until I was 40.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
Not
I'm only 29.
like her son's only one.
There's a lot of time. So
Yeah.
they have to love working with people
Mm-hmm.
to be in medicine. They have to love to study and to constantly learn and constantly educate themselves. You can't just stop educating because things are changing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely a career that a woman can do. You just have to be aware of your timing and, not to give up your childbearing years too late,
Yeah. I think, as with everything, right? I think the decision, it has to be you have to, because there's, as you mentioned, there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of school, and there's a lot of expense associated with that. So just make sure that it's a career that you want for you, not for anyone else, or because you think it's the way to be successful, somebody else's idea of what success looks like.
Right. And I always coach people also, don't go and do something for the money.
Yeah.
Just don't. You will be miserable.
Yeah.
Find something that you love to do, that you want to get up every day and do. You can always have a side hustle to make some money. A little other gig that you do that you can make some money, but just make sure you're doing something you love. Otherwise, you will be unhappy and stressed.
Yeah. So all that time when you were going to school, did you do any traveling?
Well, I have a lot of history of travel. My family is very worldly. Gosh, do we have enough time with this? So I'm first generation here.
Okay.
You could technically call me an eighth grade. So my mom is from Croatia. And my dad is Greek, but he was born in Africa.
Okay.
So he's from the Sudan. He was born and raised there. And I don't know. I think the coffee. I think the coffee business brought them to Africa.
Okay.
Somewhere in Egypt they started, and then moved to the Sudan and built coffee field business. And then my grandfather, I guess that didn't work out, and he ended up self-educating, becoming a lawyer. And then my dad, he grew up there in the Sudan, and then went to college in Ethiopia. So this is where he met my mom.
Okay.
Her father was an economist with the United Nations, and they were in Ethiopia. Okay. So when my mom was only 15, they met at a Greek party, and I don't know how many years later they're still together.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So my dad came to school here.
Okay.
He's a nuclear engineer, and he studied at MIT. Yeah, he's a smart one.
Okay. Sure. I mean, who isn't? Okay.
And so I was born in Boston.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we have family in Africa. So there was a communist revolution in Ethiopia. They had to leave. My dad had 4 siblings, so one went to Kenya, and she lives in Kenya, and she's a fancy lawyer over there.
Okay.
And one went to Greece, and his family is there, and one went to initially England and then other places all over Africa. And my dad came here.
Okay.
So I am African American.
Yes.
Technically.
Okay.
And been to all those places, love them. Kenya, I love it.
Really?
Yeah. I was in Ethiopia when I was little. I have only picture memories of it. But, it's a beautiful continent.
Yeah, I always find it so fascinating. I always ask people, like, when they travel, like, just the places that you've been at, because everything is just so different. The food, the culture. Yeah. But, like, you have family all over, so you can literally visit all these places. Do you?
It's been a while.
Well, again, you're busy working.
All right, now it's on my agenda to go back to my family in Kenya and show it to my son, because getting out there and getting on the Mara and seeing the animals and the beautiful, it's just unbelievable. There's no way you can experience that here. You can't. Yeah. You try to go to like the Animal Kingdom over at Disney, and it's just not enough. Okay. Yeah, not even close. So, yeah, that's on my to-do list. Okay. I was going to, then COVID out in April.
COVID did its thing. It derailed a lot of things, and we were planning to go on a cruise that year, and we didn't, and because it took a long time for me to build up to go on a cruise, and then COVID.
Are you nervous to be honest?
I'm not going back. I'm not going. I haven't been. So we were gonna go 2020, and then COVID happened. So there was a lot of craziness with the cruise. So I'm just like, I haven't built back up yet to go on. so I'm not ready for it yet.
It can be fun.
I think so.
Be careful not to eat too much on a cruise.
Yeah.
It's just abundant.
Yeah, we do a lot of because with kids, so we go to like all inclusive vacations because it's like the one time kids are so picky. Like, they want pizza, you buy pizza, it's like, oh, can I have a burger? No, pizza. So I think with all inclusive vacations, it's easier because then they have an entire smorgasbord. Like they can get what they want without me worrying, and they get a time. Like I have a whole week that I don't cook a thing. Like breakfast, lunch, and dinner is like served. So that's like my favorite vacation where somebody does all the mommy work.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I had a trailer once when we were doing trips to go camping.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a vacation for me. It was fun, but I think I like the all inclusive.
I do. I discovered it when my daughter was, I think, 2 and my oldest daughter, and I haven't looked back with kids. I think if it's me and my husband, which we haven't done that, going away together, I absolutely would just go whatever. But all inclusive with kids,
nice.
It's the greatest thing, and yeah, I love it. Open view and all of that. So yeah, but what is so your world travels and like honestly, like your family is so vast and spread out, like in different areas. Like, what is on your bucket list of a place that you haven't visited yet that you absolutely will visit one day?
Oh, I was looking at Singapore. Have you seen that city?
No.
So it's somewhere south near Australia, and the photographs are just beautiful. It's just incredibly, it's very futuristic.
Yeah.
So that looks like an interesting place to go.
It's good. I always ask about vacation because I love to travel. And I don't have the time right now, to be perfectly honest. But the goal is to one day, grow the business enough where it can operate independently off me and generate enough income for me to travel the world and do the things that is it 5 years, 10 years? I don't know. Yeah. But that is the goal. So.
I've spent a lot of time as a youth in my youth going to Greece because the family moved here, so I know that country very well. And then Croatia, my family has a house there on the coast. Both of those are beautiful places to go. So if you want to travel, and hook you up with the right places to visit.
Okay, because Greece is definitely on the list. I've seen so many places I want to visit, the Amalfi Coast, all these places. But again, time, time, and funds.
Yes.
For right now, it's time and funds. Okay, well, that's good. See, and that's why I like doing the show because I get to find things out about people that I didn't know. Not that you think about it, but it's just like I get to.
Yeah, not too many people know that I dance.
Oh, yeah. I literally am thinking, is there a way we could get our producer to play the music so she could get?
Oh no.
We don't have enough room in the studio. Oh, we don't have enough studio to do that. But so let's talk about your role as a primary care physician. Is there something in it that you would change?
I have changed.
Oh,
this is what I've done. Okay. Absolutely. We need to change how the whole system is designed. We need to put the patient first.
Okay.
They all talk about patient-centered homes and, doing these metrics that are, to improve patient outcomes, but it really isn't focused on the patient. And so that's what we're trying to do. So I didn't start the direct primary care movement. This started somewhere in about 2010 out west, and it's slowly coming across the country. It's quite popular in Florida, and it's very difficult in Massachusetts. Somebody started it in Salem, Massachusetts. Dr. Gold started it in, I think, 2015. And, right now in Worcester, there are 3 of us.
Wonderful.
Yeah, all independent, but trying to build it. And what we need to do is get more doctors to go into this so then we can have more services to provide on a cash basis for the patient. And let me tell you why cash basis, because when things go through insurance, they get so expensive.
They do.
If you want to get something The price gets marked up here.
Mhm.
It's billed to the insurance.
Mhm.
And the insurance says, no, we have a contract with this facility. It's really not this much, it's this much. When in fact, the price is this much.
Mhm.
So you're getting a discount for something that only costs much less. You know, I have had to get an MRI for my son. Couldn't get it for less than $2,200, but I was able to buy it right out for $350. So if you think you're saving money through your insurance, you're getting an artificial increase in all the prices. And then you think you're saving money because it would have been this, but it was this. And it really is. And so, yeah, that's what we're changing. And it's taking one doctor at a time slowly throughout the country to do this. And so.
Do you have a support group? Because I know like anything that impacts, such a vast like healthcare would be very, very difficult, as you mentioned. So do you have like doctors or like you can call on to like support you like during this? Like, listen, today was tough.
Well, I have best friends.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Plenty support, but in terms of figuring out how to do this, the doctors who are doing this are very open.
Good.
I have called them. Gold spoke to me, or just down in Florida who spoke to me. And then there are the 3 doctors, me and 2 other doctors in town who are doing this. And there's one in Sturbridge, and we're going to get together and share our stories and see how we can make things better, how we can work as a group to get, maybe a place where we can buy stress tests for a patient at a cheap price. It's like that.
But that's how you build community, right? Yeah. Using like the ones that are doing it, like you connect and you talk and you share best practices, what work, what doesn't. So then if somebody else is like, I'm really thinking of that, like you can say, hey, listen, there'll be obstacles, but here's the way to it. We're doing this, come on board. So do you think that in the future there's going to be more direct primary care?
Oh, I think so. And if any doctor is out there and wants to do this, I'm open to them calling and asking for help, because I already have now a year of experience on how to do this. And how not to do that.
Yeah. That's always important.
Yes.
That is absolutely always important. Well, that's really cool. Honestly, like you were the first person that I heard about it. I was at a group and you were the first person that I heard that spoke about this. I'm like, oh, that's interested, and like read, everything that I saw on your website. I'm like, okay, so this is actually a thing that has happened, and this is a thing that streamlines, the care that I'm looking for. But do you plan to go on like other shows and talk about it?
I'll go on any show. Absolutely. We need to get the word out. I'd love to get an article in the paper.
Okay.
There are some doctors in the Cape doing this, and the newspaper wrote about it out there. And I'm trying to get the newspaper here in this area to write about. Now there's 3 of us. There's a story here.
Wonderful.
It's a great story, and they should write about it.
No, absolutely. So TNG, but like I think coming on Channel 5, Channel 7, and things like that, because you said there's 3 in Worcester. I didn't even know. I thought you were the only one, but there's 3 in Worcester. You mentioned the Cape, the gentleman in Salem that started it. So
there's probably about 16 or 18 in Massachusetts. Maybe a year ago. I don't know how many more popped up in a year. The 3rd one, she's actually in West Boylston, but close enough.
It's Worcester. It's Worcester. I've got enough networking event to know that it's Worcester. All right. So I want to make sure that you got the opportunity to talk as much as you wanted about this, because it's such an important thing, and so many people need to know about it. And so many people like me were ignorant about it, just didn't know about it, didn't have the knowledge, didn't realize that we have the option to choose our own doctor, that we have the option to, really talk about the care that we receive, and we can talk to the actual doctor versus, the 10 people in between. So anything else you want to share before we move on to another topic? I want to make sure that I give you that opportunity to appeal to the audience, to appeal to the media, and anybody who's watching, I know y'all are watching, and let them know the benefits and just why you're so passionate about it.
Well, if you want to understand why this makes sense, when you have insurance for your house or your car, you buy that insurance for something that you hope will never happen. You don't want a flood. You don't want a fire. And if it happens, it will be so expensive, it's going to harm your finances. So you buy insurance for that. But why would you buy something that you expect to, you don't pay for an insurance for your house for, the paint chipping or for the maintenance and replacing filters and replacing, water heaters and things like that. You don't insure all of that. You go and you shop for that and you get a good price and you maintain it and you take care of it, and you might be able to buy a package or a plan for repair and maintenance, but you shop for that at a discount price. You don't insure that. So the reason why medicine is so expensive and the insurance rates and premiums are through the roof is because you're insuring primary care. You're insuring something that you're expecting. You're going to get a cold. You might get some type of an infection, a rash. You're going to need to see the doctor. You don't insure that. You pay for it. And when you insure it and someone else is paying for it, then the cost just goes up and up and up and up and up. So we can keep your costs down by giving you the primary care at a decent price. And that's just makes no sense to insure expected things. That's why the cost is through the roof. And when the cost and someone else is paying for these things, you don't get the best quality. Yeah. Because it's somebody else's money. When I'm competing for your money, you're going to get quality out of me directly. That's just how the way everything works. When the insurance is paying me, then you're not my patient. You're not my client. The insurance is. I have to do everything the insurance says, and we're just tired of that. We want to do what the patient wants. Absolutely. Absolutely. So the thing is, like, just because something is right doesn't mean it's ethical. So, you do have to, it's the insurance company that's paying you. So they're saying this person doesn't need that. But you as a personal physician, you can say, no, I really do think you need to have that checkup because you don't have to wait a year because you can only have a physical once a year, right? So once a year and a calendar day. Yeah, so don't let anything break down. And we all know after 40, a few things start to get better. So you might need a little checkup off and on. Well, thank you so much. It really does sound like a great model, and I hope that more people adopt it. I hope that there's more stories on it, more articles, more interviews, and things like that to give people choices. But that's the important thing, to make sure that you have a choice and you have a voice in your own care. That's just for me. Yeah, you got it. Okay. Exactly. All right. So now we've talked about the professional side. Let's talk about, like, what's the latest book you've read? And do you have time to read? Because I love reading. So I have sometimes, and I read 2 books that actually one of my patients wrote, and they are fabulous. Oh. So they're romance books. It's okay. Thank you for saying that, because my last couple of guests have all read, like, intellectual tomes, and I love them. I like to grow my brain and all that, but I'm like, listen, girl, I'm reading trashy romance novels because I do a lot, and I want to read about the Bridgerton family. Oh, I love that. So this is similar to that same, genre. I love it. Exactly, that's what she wrote about, and I can't say names because of confidentiality. Oh, I thought the books were already released and out there for sale. The books are out there, but I unfortunately no, don't. I get it. Yes, so you can't further than that. But they are so good. Oh, okay. Yeah. Did you read the Bridgerton books? No, but I you watched the show? Absolutely binge watched that show. Okay. So all 3 seasons. The books are spectacular. Yes. FYI. I mean, read the books if you have the opportunity to read the books. I've read all the siblings. And then the series, I'm caught up, and I'm patiently or impatiently waiting for the next week. Like, dude. I know, come on. It's done. It's been done since last year. Why are we waiting? Like, why are we waiting? Like, I'm obsessed. Like, I get the alerts, the links, the updates, and then they just, so with Queen Charlotte, did you know they wrote a book? Yes. Well, they had Queen Charlotte was one of the seasons. No, it is. Oh, I watched that. But then they wrote a book. Oh, the Queen book Charlotte. Yes. Oh. They wrote a book, like, right after, and it's like, it's just based on the show itself, but not because, like, Julia Quinn, I know, I'm a little obsessed with the whole thing, but a little too obsessed. She wrote the whole Bridgerton siblings, and then for Queen Charlotte, there wasn't a book before, but the book came out after the show. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was great. The whole thing is just fabulous. So well done.
Yeah, no, it really is, and that's what I'm saying. I'm so happy because normally, like I said, like, well, I read these things, and I'm like, I get it, I do, I want to read to expand my mind. I want to read about abrasion or all these lovely, fantastic things, and Simon Sinek and a couple of Richard Branson and all these great leaders, but I also want to read trashy books.
Yeah, or some of the sci-fi. Like I read like most of the Percy Jackson. Does that attract somebody? Is that too young for me? I don't care.
No.
Love it. Read all of the Harry Potter series. Love that. Is that too young for me? I don't care. Loved it.
I forgot all of that.
It's something that lets you escape from reality.
It does. And that's what reading is for me. I did forget all the Harry Potter. My sister has the books, so I told her I'm gonna just reread it because I read them. Was it 20 years ago that they came out? I can't even remember, but I've kind of forgotten. So I'm gonna read it over, and I might read it with my daughter. She's 11, so maybe she would like it. So she's a little obsessed with Hamilton, so I'm sure she'll like that book. But it's fine. I did read the Percy Jackson ones though.
Yeah. Any book that gets you to immerse and see that video in your mind.
Yeah.
Escapes from reality, and it's so easy to go through. It just turns pages and
it's so nice. I watched the show, but I'm gonna leave and we're in group together. So I tell you, listen, I do not know. It looks, it looks. It's Percy Jackson Olympians, right? I think that's the most recent one.
Yeah.
So I will definitely go ahead and read. So what are you writing the book?
Ooh. Yeah, I'm not an author, and that's not my skill. I would probably have to hire a ghostwriter, but yeah, there might be a book in there somewhere. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I think that, we're all writers. Good writers, I don't know. But I think that we're all writers because I think we all have such fascinating stories to tell. Like, your history, your culture, right? And becoming a doctor and, like what was that like for a woman to become a doctor in 2000? Has it changed? Is it the same? It would be inspiring to somebody who's trying to become a doctor now because it's Women's History Month, right? And we've got to celebrate. Like sometimes things are harder as a woman. So, how do you support other women? How do you show up and support other women?
I have lots of women in my life, and I have one who's trying to write a book right now. And that's a very difficult task for her, but it's very important. So she's working on that. May I change the subject just slightly?
Absolutely.
So on the subject of books, somebody actually wrote a book about my grandfather's history.
Oh.
And the escape from history.
Oh, okay.
It's just a great book. It's called Mescal.
Okay.
And that's a great story.
Okay. I will put it back and check it out. That's awesome. But that's the thing. Like I always think, like I find such sanctity and sacredness in sisterhood, and not just Women's History Month, but I think that it's so important for. And you mentioned, when I asked earlier, if you have like a community of doctors that support you, you mentioned that you have great friends that support you, and I find that so important that we have communities that support us, that you can be yourself with, that you can call and say, girl, I had a day. Or what are you guys in your community?
No, these are women friends, and it's a little different than the culture nowadays. My friends, and when I was growing up, we picked up the phone and we talked to each other. And any trouble that we were going through, we talked. We talked for hours. I wouldn't have gotten through the hardest times of my life had I not had my friends and been able to talk. And now young people don't pick up the phone and talk. They have much less support. It's all texting.
It is, yeah.
And they don't understand. You actually have to ask permission to call somebody. Are you free? Can you take a call now? You have to text them first. You can't just dare call somebody and pick them up. And I never would have made it through the toughest parts without my girlfriends there by my side talking me through the difficult times. So young people need to remember your friends are so important. You need to put down those phones and make those social interactions and develop those friendships. Those female friendships are so important.
Yeah, I think that's a very important message to share, and I believe in that so wholeheartedly. We're actually having a women's summit at the end of the month to really talk about that because, as you mentioned, it's very very difficult to get through some things, and when you have those girlfriends, you can pick up the phone and call. And I also think like with texting, I text. I'm not gonna lie, right now it's a current culture, right? So I text a lot, but when I need a friend, I call because texts get misconstrued.
Oh, yes, they do.
You know, you read it based on your interpretation, sometimes not what the other person is saying. So I always find that it's just easier to call.
Well, but they also get answered like hours later.
They do.
Even if you got an answer right back,
Yeah.
the next answer might take 30 minutes or
Yeah.
an hour because you don't have their full attention.
Yeah.
And the young people don't know that the other way exists.
Yeah.
You really have to just get out and put the phone down, socialize with your friends, talk, and talk and talk.
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree. I do believe that, so many good things for the culture right now for them. But for us, personally, I think that we had a great time of that. Like I think that we were able to meet with and create and cultivate these deep, lasting friendships. That's why they're 20, 30 years in the making and they last a long time versus somebody like social media friends. Like I had my niece, she had
Their
a
lives are
social media.
perfect, aren't they?
Exactly. But she had a social media friend, somebody that she had never met, and they were friends off. And I'm like, girl, that's not your friend. Like, because they don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
They only learn what you share on social media.
Right.
And on social media, we tend to share the best parts. Nothing wrong with that. I celebrate. I'm not going to share every tear, cry, every, hangnail. I'm going to celebrate my wins. So if somebody who I'm communicating with on social media only see those parts of me, that is just a little glimpse of who I am.
Yeah.
So you're right. I do believe that they are missing out on just not having the opportunity to connect, to sit down and talk. And so they do brunch. Like now, brunch is a big thing. I love brunch, FY. But I remember, with my girlfriends, and I still do it, like going out together. But the brunch is different now. They go out with big groups. They do a lot. So it's like 15, 20. So there's no opportunity.
No, you gotta do the one-on-one.
You do.
Yeah, even 3 people doesn't work.
No, it's hard.
One-on-one, and you get that bonding, and you get that person to listen. And then when it's their turn, you do it right back.
Yeah. See you as a speaker at events for
Well,
women. I can't like just really talking about, because I think we miss out a lot on the simple thing. So I could see you speaking at events, just really talking about just the power of connecting, the power of conversation. Like the art of conversation is lost sometimes, I think. Because again, it's like memes. I have friends that I haven't spoken to like, well, in a very long time. And they send me memes all day long. But if I call them, it's like, let's chat.
So in my opinion, the key to a good conversation is listening.
Yeah.
If you're there to just talk about you, then you're missing the whole story. If you can, in your conversations with your friends, listen to what they have to say, ask questions about them, then you develop that friendship and you get a lot more out of those conversations. So if you're talking about the art of conversation, it's really not talking, it's listening.
Yeah. But I don't think they even talk or listen. It's just they send memes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I don't think that, like, yeah, I get it.
It's true.
I do. Like, I get it. They don't talk. They're more comfortable.
And memes isn't even texting or words. It's just pictures.
Just forward, yeah. I hilarious, but I mean, okay, so maybe they're not friends, but yeah, but yeah, no, my daughter has a couple of friends, and I'm so gratified when I see them like sitting down and like having conversations. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like that is great. I want her to have good female friendship, because I have that, and I know what it feels like.
Yeah. May I ask how many kids do you have?
Two.
Two girls?
Two girls. One's a teenager, one's a preteen.
Oh.
So yeah. But they have friends, and they get together and they talk and they talk on the phone, and I love seeing that. They're under.
Do you remember the days when our phones were attached to the wall?
Yes.
That they started in the kitchen and we had this really, really long cord that went all the way to the bedroom.
Yes, and you could only talk to one person at a time. Absolutely, you could. There was no clicking. Right. There was no clicking over or things like that. If you had, oh my God, we just told our age because if we had to go on the internet, we had to log off the phone. Like we had to hang up the phone. You can do both. You can go on the internet.
No. We didn't have the internet, so you got to be a lot younger. I remember, I got to tell you this story. I remember the very first time being introduced to the internet, and that was in medical school.
Oh, okay.
So I'm already grown up.
Right? Okay.
And somebody showing it to me, and they unfortunately picked a website that had a lot of images. And I'm like, when is this thing going to come up? Like, what is this? And like, it was so slow back then. Yes. And I'm like, okay, later. It was just taking too long. But that's when it first started. It was so foreign to us, and it was so slow, and it was like, now. I know. And now, if it's not faster than me, I'm annoyed with it. It's like,
how we have shifted, right? Because I did used to sit down and wait for like that little ding sound and the AOL like dialing up. But you're right. It's like, oh my God, this website is like 10 seconds and it's not gone up yet. Yeah. So it is. But do you find that you do a lot of social media now, or you want to do it for professional?
I was not involved in social media because I didn't like that fakeness of it. But with the development of the business, I need a tool where I can get my word out. So I'm back on Facebook now. So I mean, it's at Dr. Hamawi. Okay. And so I try to post there. But again, time is of essence and it's very limited. So I'm trying to put more things up there. And then I'd like to expand to other things. Other media.
No, absolutely. I found that one of the easiest things, and not that I do it consistently, is like scheduling the time, like having a set schedule for your posts on social media and doing it like at the same time.
That's a really good idea.
And plan it out in advance because
what's your favorite social media?
Actually Facebook and Instagram. So because I find that a lot of people are on Facebook, and I want them on Instagram because I think Instagram is kind of easier. But more people find me on Facebook, and more people interact with me on Facebook. So I've thought of, I'm like, I'm not going to do it, and a lot of people are like, I'm not on Instagram. I'm like, oh, okay. But the audience that I want to connect with,
I think they're different ages. So if you want the younger people, you go to the Instagram.
Well, TikTok, but
TikTok. No, TikTok I wouldn't.
Yeah, the younger generations of TikTok. It's like it's a whole course. I've posted a couple of times on there, but I can't keep up consistently because it's content and they like it short, like hit something and it's clickbait, right? It has to be clickable, it has to be entertaining. And sometimes what I'm saying is not entertaining, it's it's like an encouraging word, and I'm sure you could do it.
What do you think people would want to hear from their doctor on something like Facebook?
On Facebook, I don't know. For me, if I was looking for a doctor, I mean, I would want to hear like, why should I come to you? Like, because something that I'm concerned about is the cost of medicine. I have diabetic in my family. I remember switching jobs, and in between switching jobs, the insurance hadn't kicked in yet, and going to pick up, insulin, and the price was whoa. And then to find out that it's like very, very inexpensive, the actual thing, and then the cost of it. So I think, where did I search? I did some research. I think I went on Facebook, and then somebody mentioned, oh, that there's a coupon somewhere I could get, and I did get the coupon. It took several $100s off the medication. Yeah. So for me, I think like, just post like, hey, this is what direct primary care is. Hey, did you know? I like did you knows.
Okay.
I like did you knows. I was a trainer for years for many different corporations, and I always got a lot of interaction whenever I did you knows. Like, did you know this? Like, did you know that you can talk to your doctor?
Hey, that's a good line. I like that. I like that.
Yes. I mean, something like that. I mean, Instagram is more pictures. Yeah. And reels, like I think reels.
Pictures are hard to do for me because I'm not selling a product.
Exactly. You can't. There's nothing. Yeah.
So if it's going to be a picture, it's a picture of me, and I think there's enough pictures up there. You don't need pictures of me. So yeah, that's a hard thing to do. But this "did you know" aspect, I might.
No, absolutely, and shorter because I found like I like reading long things, and
No, people don't.
they don't. I do like it.
Right. They
But
use that KISS and just keep it simple.
yes,
And yeah, they don't have time. They don't want. They just little tidbits. Yeah.
yes. So that's it. Like just biteable, digestible. Absolutely. It's like any little fun fact or something. Like, did you? Oh,
Right, and then I can have it linked to a bigger article if they want to read it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which I've put a couple articles out there. I actually have an article coming out internationally.
Oh my goodness.
I told you I have family all over.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So my cousin who lives in Croatia is a journalist, and she got me a publication in an article coming out in, I believe it's called Oncology Digest. I'm not sure, but it's how direct primary care can help pick up cancer early, because we have time to listen to actually what the patient is saying and catch things and find things early. So that's what that article's about, and that's going to be published out soon, going all over the world. Oh,
that's amazing! So now you could say internationally published author.
I can.
You can. And you can put that on the website. See?
Yes. Did you know? Did you know your doctor is internationally published?
That no, I mean honestly, I'm literally thinking because like I looked at your website and there were so many facts and things like that. Like, did you know like that direct primary care is not this? Like, I think you can have so much fun with it, but plan it out.
I like it.
Plan it out, and the only reason I say that is because it's like we all have good intentions. Myself personally, I'm a victim of that a lot of times. I'm like, I'm gonna post every day at 8 o'clock, and then something happens, life happens, kids, myself, the weather, whatever it is. So like this month I'm doing this Hey Sis series where I just leave these little, 15-second things like, hey sis, that you're not in competition with anyone. Hey sis, do you know that you're amazing? But I record a week at a time and I release one each day. Because like if something happens, if I get up and I'm not feeling well, I'd already made a commitment to put one out every month, but I already made this, so I could still put it out.
That's right.
So plan it out when you can.
Good idea.
Batch it and then just release. You can even schedule it. I don't, but you can schedule it.
Yeah, great ideas.
I have my moments. I have my moments. So I'm looking for the series now. Like the Did You Know or whatever. Okay. Like, because it's out there, y'all. So, but yeah, no. I think that'd be really cool to have because you're right. You can't take a lot. You can't do a thing. You can't post anything. You can't post your patients. Can't post anything.
I can sometimes post stories anonymously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one patient who came to me and they were just so tired of their doctors not listening. And they're like, I'm telling you, I don't feel well. I have this sinus thing going on. And they all kept telling her, you don't need antibiotics. You don't need antibiotics. And they weren't listening. She didn't feel listened to. So she came to me. I did hear what she had to say. Guess what? She got antibiotics and she's feeling so much better.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You have to listen to what they say to you. The patient knows what's going on. They just need a little guidance on how to deal with it. They'll tell you. They're cued into their own bodies.
No, absolutely. And I think that's one of the number one concerns I've heard from, my friends, family, everybody. Like, they just feel like their concerns are overlooked when they go to a doctor. Like, they say this and they're like, because they're so used to hearing medical jargon all day, they just like dismiss anything. Like, oh, it's just a headache. You don't know.
Right.
Like, you didn't do anything. You didn't ask any leading questions. You didn't examine me or anything. I tell you what it is after talking to 10 other people, and then you just dismiss me like you don't know.
Yeah, we don't want that. So stories like that, I can tell. I can take the identity out of it, and I can tell those.
Oh, okay. That'll be good. To just really share like the frustration and how to. Because I mean, ultimately, this is better for them. Like this is better for them. Obviously, you don't just do this because you're trying to be a millionaire. Because
no, that isn't happening.
That is not clearly it's the wrong path. Like
that young girl that wants to go into medicine.
Yes.
It's not for the money.
No. I mean, I think most things. I mean, honestly, I don't know, like being a TikTok star or something like that. I think that pays right now. But again, how sustainable is that? So things shift and change, honey. We know things that were back in our time that was so popular that we didn't think it would ever go away. And now we're like, remember Finding Space? Yeah. Exactly. That was a store. They don't exist anymore. Things shift and change, trends come and go. So, can't take away being a doctor. I think people will always need doctors. Like,
no, they need someone to listen.
yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Why did you choose primary care? Well, I know you're direct primary care, but why did you choose primary care versus like choosing a specialty? What was that decision?
So that's also when you're talking about this young woman who wants to go to medical school someday. After you get beyond the people versus things thing and you want to go into med school, the next is, do you want to be a specialist and deal with only one problem? And that's amazing because you could become expert at one thing. Mm-hmm. And then you can go all over the country and you could be the expert and you could do speeches about this. And you can be so good at that one thing. Yeah. But that's all you do. Yeah. So you have to be really good and happy with that. Mm-hmm. Or you can be very broad and do, general medicine. So I actually went even broader than that. I not only do general medicine, but I do it for all ages. Yeah. So pediatrics is itself its own field.
It is.
And it's very foreign to the rest of medicine. and then you have the general adult. And what I know from each field, I can bring to the other. Yeah. And say, this disease I see in adults, now I'm starting to see it in kids. Or this is what happens when they're children. I know how to deal with the adult who has this illness because I take care of the kids who have that illness. So I like the generality of it. Mm-hmm. There's a piece of me that misses being an expert on something. I am not an expert on anything. I am very good at a lot of different things. And that's not just in my own medicine, but in the dance and in, fixing things around the house and doing my garden and all those things. I can do a lot of things and a lot of them by myself. So you have to decide as you're developing your career, what do you want to be? Do you want to be an expert and published in your fields and everything? Or do you want to do many things? And so I run my business, I do the medicine, I do the marketing. I've got a jack of all trades, right? And so I don't know. I think I just gravitated to that. I don't think I consciously chose the way I'm presenting it to you, that you could coach somebody. Yeah. In their careers. I didn't have a coach. I just gravitated to what I liked. Yeah. And my family is full of entrepreneurs, and so that just naturally came to me. And I had to build the business myself and had to learn all the parts of it. So there was never time to become an expert in this one disease or anything, but that's not the goal. My goal is to help more people. To help everybody, and guide them to the expert. Yes. If they need it. I mean, I think that's actually very inspiring, like having that, and I get it. And I think I saw something once that says, folks are always like, like you work hard at one thing, but what about the person that has a multitude of talents? And like you're passionate about medicine. You treat adults, you treat kids, you're doing the business. Like you have to know business. You can't just be the doctor, because if like I'm just the doctor and you don't run the business, it's not gonna, like, the doctor won't survive. Right. Right. And if the business is not like, if the doctor is not doing the doctor things well, that could also kill the business. So you have to be not an expert, but you have to be talented in all areas. So I think that's very inspiring. And you have to know when you don't know something. Exactly. And reach for that help. And send that patient to the correct person, up the ladder to the people who are experts. And so I've spent 20 years building networks like that. Yeah, I know. I saw that. I saw, like, you started in New York. And I shot that? Yeah, so that was my training. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, okay. What was that? So what was that like being in New York, though? New York City was so beautiful back then. Yeah. I loved it. Loved being there. Loved training there. Yeah. Phenomenal on a Sunday morning out on the top of I had a little balcony there. Yeah. And a Sunday morning in New York was just perfect. It was quiet. It was beautiful. The park was very close to where we were. New York City is very different right now.
It is, because I don't think I've ever heard New York and quiet in the same statement.
Oh yeah, on Sunday mornings. If you would go outside on a Sunday morning, it was just pristine. And in the middle of Central Park was just beautiful. Really? So loved it.
Okay.
It's unfortunately not the same anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I did my training.
Okay.
Then I went to upstate New York and did further training. And then I came back home, which I'm born and raised here.
Born and raised in Boston, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I can't believe it, but we are at the end of the show.
Seriously?
And it did. I told you it went by. All right. So you are from Boston. And we gotta ask, because I think my last guest we were talking about the weather. So, would you trade New England weather for if you had to choose a climate, like out of all our climate, although we have 4 in one day, would you change New England weather for any other?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why, because the change is important. You know, we and you know, if it's gonna snow and it be winter, it needs to snow. So we've had a few winters now without enough snow and without enough cold. The last 2 winters, you know, I live on a lake. We weren't able to go out and skate on that lake for more than one day.
Yeah.
So when you live here and you know how to enjoy all the different seasons, there's so much variety and it's so beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
You look forward to the snow melting and the rivers being full so you can go fishing. Then you look forward to the time at the beach. Then you look forward to the beautiful leaves that change colors. I lived in other states, you know, for a while, and it's not the same. It's like fall is happening, and like you're like, where are the leaves? You know, you can see for miles, and you know, here there's beautiful hills and trees. You can't see for miles. Yeah. So it's, you know, wherever you grow up, it's what you're used to, and you're home and you're comfortable. I wouldn't change the weather, not for nothing. Not for anything. Well, you know, so I was born and raised in Jamaica. Yeah. I came here as a teen, and Christmas there was perfect, I thought. But since I've lived here, I will say this. Christmas without snow, it's very different. And I don't think I could move to like Florida to experience like Christmas in Florida. You'd think there was something missing. Exactly. Isn't it funny? I don't know. And maybe it's because of the kids. I don't know when I changed, but I was like, I really hope, because my kids really love to see snow outside the windows on Christmas morning. Yeah, very weird. Very weird. Okay. Well, glad to hear that, because it's one thing we complain about is the New England weather. So it's nice to hear someone say they wouldn't change it for any other thing. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have you. I'm looking forward to reading your article. I'm looking forward to seeing you on more programs, really talking about direct primary care. And I will recommend her and say her name and check her out and book a consultation so that you can, you know, truly find out what it is about. And there's so many benefits to you. So May I give the website? Absolutely. Go ahead. So my website is aomedical.com. So www.aomedical.com. You can find me at Dr. Hamawi on Facebook. And you can message me at dpcinfo@aomedical.com. All right, fantastic. All right, so I typically tell them goodbye, and then my guest gets, you know, to end it. Just hang where they want, just encouraging folks. That's it. So you have about 30 seconds to think about what you're going to say, how to end the show, and I'm going to do my thing. All right. All right. Okay. All right. So thank you all so much for tuning in. As you know, this is our Women's History Month series and a spotlight and phenomenal woman. I had the pleasure of having in the studio with me today, Dr. Tatiana Hamawi. And what a story, from her travels, the reading, to direct primary care, which is something that I truly believe that it's so important for us to find out about. She shared her website. Make sure that you check it out. Make sure you follow her on social media, because this is going to be you. All right. Thank you to my subscribers, my viewers. I appreciate you week after week. If you're interested in being a guest or a sponsor, please contact me. And as always, thank you to Paul Anderson, my fabulous producer, for making the magic happen. So I am going to end with Dr. Tatiana, inspiring you all. Thank you all for listening. It's been a pleasure talking to Suzanne. And if you are not happy with your medical situation and you want someone to listen to you, my office is open. I have a calendar on the website that you can set aside time, and we can just talk, because a lot of people are afraid that it doesn't fit into their budget or into their insurance, and I can answer those questions for you. I'm a good listener, and I love to have people who really want a long-term relationship with their doctor. So give it a try.
Awesome. And that's it. Until next time. Bye bye.